Straight title robot anime is one of the worst things I've ever seen, by far. I have never seen anything as bad as this. Like, the fact that someone conceived this and someone put this out on television weakens my faith in humanity and in art in general. The fact that people consume this and go, this is good, this is cool, this is something that I'm gonna look at and sit here and say, ooh, this is something I want to look at, is utterly baffling. I don't know how you can't have some form of being on the spectrum or like some form of brain hemorrhage to enjoy this show. Like, I see that as the only possible way, which is totally fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you could get something out of liking the world and the isolated feeling that the world has, but I don't know, man. You would have to give me some sort of weird academic answer as to justify why you would like this show, because from my perspective, there's absolutely nothing here. You watch the first episode, and then the next 11 episodes from there are the exact same thing. I mean, they literally take the same templates and just keep using those. Almost every episode starts in the same place. There are two episodes in total that do not start in the same place. The way the structure of the show goes is it spends the first half of the episode in like this brown looking area. So you spend that first half in this like brown looking wasteland where it always starts out with the characters thinking about, how are we gonna do the joke, you know? How are these robot girls going to figure out what a joke is? And that's every single episode of the show. They start out with a different type of concept for the joke, but the minor differences in dialogue and topic are basically negligible because it's taking the same basic-ass backgrounds and the exact same premise and applying it to relatively meaningless conversations. Like, this show could be minorly better if they were having semi-different, like, interesting conversations about it, but there's no character to them whatsoever. They're just, like, these moe robot CGI girls, and they're talking about what a joke. And the writer barely puts any effort to differentiate each episode. Yeah, sure. The concept that they're talking about is different, but the dialogue itself, it's like looking at word for word the last episode and just applying it to a new thing. There are like minorly different jokes sprinkled in, but it's basically the exact same thing. It's horrifying. It's horrifyingly redundant. And then you have the second half of the episode, and that part usually has a little bit more variety, maybe like a little bit more things going on, but it's a different template that's used throughout, you know, every episode of this same archive place. A different template in the sense that it's a different template from what's being used at the first half of the episode. And they go to this archive place, and every single time they look at, like, okay, you know, this is what Mazinger Z is, or whatever. This is what Gundam is. Wacky antics, guys. And there are, like, some minor differences there, but it's always the same place. There's barely ever change. The concept, they go to this archive place, and they try to go do something. I'm not sure what it is they're doing, but I watched every episode and it doesn't look like it's much different than the last. I almost fell asleep through a lot of these, but I had to power through just so I could get to the last one. It's so redundant. This is the most lazy, redundant show that I've ever seen. All of the assets are being reused. Like, all of the dialogue is basically exactly the same. The characters have nothing to them. They just take, okay, this is robots. They're reacting to jokes. This is a different type of joke. Yeah, let's explain what this type of joke is. No difference. That's it. That is the only variety you will get. And you better enjoy that. Because there is, like, a minor change in how they view jokes and like their laughter, but it's so small. You notice nothing. Nothing happens. Like they try to change some things. They try to egg the viewer on to where it seems like they're learning something. It seems like they're learning laugh a little bit, and then by the end, spoilers by the way, I would actually recommend watching the ending of this show. Go watch the first episode, and then you're done with that part of the series. Then watch the last one. The first episode is basically the same as all the other ones. You're never going to get any meaningfully significant things to happen. There's like an exact same sequence of robots fighting one another every time, but it's just kind of applied differently. Like in one they're cross-dressing, but it's the exact same scene, just changed. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. But you got this freaking ending here, and it's like the narrator guy comes up and he's like, yo, you know, you've been duped this whole time. Robots can't laugh, right? And that's kind of where they get you there. He goes in this really interesting conversation about like how robots can't feel or whatever, and like what the nature of laughter is, and he goes into what happened to the world. His scientist died, and he left the power to laugh, but the power to laugh kills the robots. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool thing. That is the most unique thing. Like, the most interesting bit of writing was just in that last episode, and it was kind of a dark ending because all of the characters die. You know, I was so happy to see them die because I spent all that time just in disgust over the show, but it was actually kind of cool. There were aspects of that were well done, like the ending scene where they died. If those were characters that I cared about, if it was a better show, I enjoyed that. You could have done a good show out of this concept, like Moe robots learning about jokes. There are intellectual things you could explore there in the realm of sci-fi, in the realm of like human relationships to robots. The world was rich too. You have all humans are wiped out and dead, and robots are just constantly fighting one another. This is cool material. You can do cool things with this. And they kind of did with that last episode. If the rest of the show was just good, then it would have been a great show. It's a great concept. You can make funny jokes out of this. Wacky antics, robot girls, they're trying to learn human stuff. Guys, you know, you can do cool stuff with this. But they didn't. They ruined it. The last episode showed so much potential. It showed so much cool, good things, but they didn't do anything with it. And they ruined it all. What once was happy now is sad. It's all bad. It's none of it's good. None of it's even remotely good. Like gross, bad. This is by far the worst anime I have ever seen. It's horrible. It's horrible. I hate it. I hate it, and it made me want to kill myself. And it's bad. And I'm going to personally go outside of this director's house that was born in 1974, mind you. He's in his 40s, this man who made this show. I'm going to go outside of his apartment, and I am going to go on a hunger strike until he apologizes for the sins that he has brought upon this earth. It's horrifying. It's bad. And, yeah. So that's my thoughts on a straight anime, idol thing, robot title. It doesn't feel good watching it. It's basically just redundant all throughout. Like, they kind of take, as I said, the same templates, same boring conversations, just apply them over and over and over again. It's kind of incredible. It's kind of incredible, the frequency with which they flanderize and repeat themselves.